All right, hello and welcome back. Brett here with ClickMill. And in this video, we are going to be continuing on sort of the philosophy of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. And we're going to be looking at the truths that he drew from this initial belief that life equals suffering. And you'll see that there are four of them, and they more or less all revolve around suffering and how he chose to understand this. So the first one, and I'm not going to pronounce these correctly, the first noble truth, I believe, is called dukkha, D-U-K-K-H-A. And this is the idea that suffering, this is more of like what it is, and it's the definition, the truth of suffering. And I am using notes for this because this is, I just want to make sure I get the technicals correct here. But suffering is shown through birth, aging, illness, death, separation from loved ones. All the things we basically understand as suffering is what he's going to call suffering. And he says in this sort of first noble truth, if you're in life, it's inevitable to avoid suffering, which I would say we would agree with. Now, recognizing this first noble truth of dukkha is the sort of first step to your spiritual awakening in Buddhism. Okay, so this is the first noble truth. Now, the second noble truth is the cause of the suffering. And this is tanha, T-A-N-H-A. So again, probably not saying that correctly. This is the thirst or craving for physical sensory pleasures, not sensual, excuse me. And so this is our desire for any type of experience. And what it is, if I make sure I get this right here, is okay. So it is the explanation of why we have the suffering, which is there are cravings and desires that we want because we see ourselves as separate from other things. And so we are now no longer content, and therefore suffering comes into the world. So there is an underlying kind of premise here that I want to point out, and that is the goal of pantheism, and Buddhism is a pantheistic religion. The goal of pantheism is to stop seeing the difference between me and Michael, or me and the microphone. I am the microphone. So long as there is a distinction in my mind about this microphone being separate from me, I am actually inviting suffering, because that opens opens my mind for craving and desire, which is the source of suffering. Do you guys have questions on number 2 there? Am I explaining that clearly enough? Good. Okay. All right. Number 3, the third noble truth. And I do not know how to say this one. It's nirodha. And this is the end of suffering. So what this says, essentially, is that you have peace, freedom, and liberation from suffering when you follow the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path and all of this stuff. But when you realize that there really is no craving, there is no desire, because you are the microphone. I am you. We are God, whatever these things mean. So that is the end of suffering. And then the fourth noble truth is the path to end the suffering permanently. So that's more of temporary suffering in Noble Truth 3, as far as I understand it. And the fourth noble truth is how to, let's see here, make sure I'm on track. Okay, so this is the attesting to the Eightfold Path, which says this is how we get rid of suffering permanently. And this is going to bring us into the primary goal, which we're going to talk about in the next video, of Buddhism. But the Eightfold Path is what this fourth noble truth is going to promote. And it says, if you do these sort of 8 things in your life, you are going to be able to cure this experience of suffering permanently. And we're going to talk about that in the next video. So this is the Four Noble Truths, and I'm going to just say them one more time. We have the truth of suffering, which is the dukkha. We have the cause of suffering, which is the tanha. We have the end of suffering, So how to end it, and I want to make sure I have that correct. Cessation of suffering and achieved by extinguishing the flames. Okay, yes. So I did say that correctly. So in this life, we can end suffering by stopping any cravings or distinctions. And that is the end of suffering, the third noble truth, Nirodha. And then the path to end suffering permanently is Magga, Magga. And that is basically saying, let's look at the eightfold path to end suffering permanently. So we will get into the eightfold path in a future video. In the next video, we are going to look at the ultimate goal of Buddhism. And we'll see you there, where we are going to be talking about nirvana. We'll see you there.